Hey guys, welcome to Pajama Let's Play. I'm Michelle, host of Pajama Let's Play, where we talk all things Kingdom Hearts. Today I'm going to talk about Sora as the Eternal Healer and why that's not actually the positive role it sounds like. But before we get into that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can also follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon. All of those links are in the description box down below. As always, I'll be covering the whole series, so make sure to get caught up on the lore first and then come back to this. For everyone else, this topic was requested by a subscriber named Lichtverbunden. I completely agree that this series is a great way to work through shadow work, trauma, and other consequences of being alive. And the part about Sora being the healer really resonated with me. So let's start by defining the term healer. Yes, this can be someone who does medicinal work and physical healing, but healers are also the people who recharge energy, renew hope and faith, support through dark times, and very rarely ask for anything in return. And that last part is what I really want to focus on today. Sora starts his journey as a child on Destiny Islands, and the first instance we have of him being the healer is in this scene in Birth by Sleep.
That's weird. It's like something squeezing me inside.
Somebody up there must be sad.
Up where?
They say every world is connected by one great big sky. So maybe there's somebody up there in all those worlds who's really hurting. And they're waiting for you to help them.
Well, gee, do you think there's something I could do?
Maybe they just need you to open your heart and listen.
I don't know, Riku. You say some weird stuff sometimes, but I'll try it.
Okay.
I heard your voice. It cut through the darkness around me. All alone, I followed the sound into a sea of light and found myself here with you. You gave me something back when I needed it most. A second chance.
I did?
But now I have to go back to sleep again.
Are you sad?
Would you mind if I stayed here with you?
Sure, if it'll make you feel better.
Thank you.
Sora was called instinctively and felt the pull on his heart. Riku encouraged him, and Sora reached out and accepted this foreign and broken heart into his own without question. Why Sora? Because where does one go when they're at their most desperate? The brightest source of light within sight. For Ventus, that was Sora. I find it strange he didn't go to Kairi as a heart of pure light, but that's fine. He chose Sora. After a while, they get a little older. I believe the consensus in the comments on my previous Sora video was that he's about 14. Either way, a barely pubescent child was thrown into a situation where everything was breaking, everything was falling, and it's the most despair he could have possibly imagined at the time. So what happens? He finds himself in Traverse Town, only wanting to return to his friends. However, probably thanks to Ventus, Sora is now the Kingdom Key's chosen wielder, and he's told, basically, to go save the universe. Are you kidding me? He's 14 years old, right? He's a child. And now the fate of the Realm of Light rests on his shoulders, and being the eternal healer he is, he accepts this new role and moves forward. For the rest of Kingdom Hearts 1, he's mostly just leveling up his heart and his skills with the understanding that if he saves Kingdom Hearts and the Realm of Light, he can return to his home with Kairi and Riku. Until he gets the Hollow Bastion and all goes downhill. Riku summons the Kingdom Key for himself, Kairi no longer possesses her own heart, Maleficent and Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, almost succeed, and Sora really struggles to believe in himself again. Even Donald and Goofy abandoned him for a minute to follow the Keyblade because they thought it was the only Keyblade, which I find a bit sloppy. Either way, Sora's left alone with only a wooden sword to defend himself. Thankfully, the Beast is willing to team up. It wasn't until Donald and Goofy returned to his side that Sora was able to find his strength enough to wield the Kingdom Key once again. My point here, mostly, is that Sora was forced into this role by strangers because circumstances said Sora was the chosen one, when that's not even necessarily true. Again, I see it as sloppy writing, but they tell Sora he's special because he can wield the Keyblade, and that no one else can do that. Clearly that was false, and it seems enough people knew that information that this could have been a manipulation from the beginning. Riku could have been the one chosen to save the realms, or Mickey, or anyone else that can wield a Keyblade, so why Sora? Because he's the eternal healer who never says no to a good cause, and is seen by others as reliable and dependable. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, he embraces the role, ensuring that for the rest of the series, he will be the first one anyone reaches out to when they have a problem that they can't figure out on their own. So we get to the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, and Sora is physically separated from any hope of going home. He follows Pluto to Castle Oblivion, where he's compelled, though I would argue he's actually forced, to once again rescue the damsel in distress, Namine. Let's get a quick recap of how exactly Sora got connected to Namine.
I took the people and memories that were inside Sora's heart, and little by little I replaced them with false memories.
Hey, what about Sora's promise?
Made up. It was fake. Sora never really promised me anything. Me being with him on the islands, that was a lie, just like everything else. We never met. I was never Sora's friend.
And you were never anything more, either.
No. You see, in all of your true memories, I was never really there.
Gee, then that must mean it was your magic that made the rest of us lose our memories too. Is there any way for us to ever get them back?
I can fix everything. If we go to the 13th floor. But Marluxia, he...
Bet I know who that is. Was he the fella who made you tamper with all of our memories?
If I didn't obey, he said I'd be locked in this castle forever. I've been alone for so long.
So you did what he told you to do because you were lonely?
I'm so sorry.
Don't be. Please don't cry.
Oh. Of course. I know I really don't have the right to.
That's not what I meant.
What?
It's like this. I'm really not happy about you messing with my memories. But, you know, I can't really get mad at you for it either. These memories you gave me. In my head, I know they're lies. But they still feel right. Like the promise I made. I said I would protect you and that I wouldn't make you cry. Not ever. Namine, if you cry now, I'll feel guilty, like I let you down. So don't cry. Please. Until I get my memories back, smile and try to be happy. It's easier on me that way.
Sora.
Oh, brother, that's a bit much.
It's okay. Sora always gets like this every time he's around a girl.
Aw, cut it out.
So there are a couple of things I'd like to point out here. First off, Namine was so lonely she willingly manipulated Sora's memories and took Kairi's place to pull him closer to her. That's all sorts of messed up. And why did it work? Because he's the eternal healer, incapable of saying no when someone is in distress. What little boundary he was able to set, you know, just asking her to help him honor that promise he made her of not making her cry, he was berated for it. He didn't ask her to feel better. In fact, he even relieved her of the burden of guilt. He just asked her to consider the consequences of her actions and help him through it as he's making sense of it all. That's not a big ask. And they had no right to berate him for setting that boundary. Also, as a side note, when the eternal healer sees someone cry, they are compelled to heal the person's pain until they stop. And if they don't, they're riddled with guilt for not fulfilling their role, which they were forced into in the first place. So what I'm saying here is when the eternal healer sets a boundary, everyone needs to respect it. They've earned that by healing others on command and not asking for anything in return. Generally speaking, if a boundary is set, it's for a good reason that other people honestly don't need to understand. Anyway, so he saves Namine and she fixes the mess she made in his memories. Notice how it took him a full year for him to get the healing he needed. And it hit a little close to home that during that time, no one had any memory of him. In my experience, when the healer stops healing, they usually aren't thought of anymore. So this was extremely poetic for me. Just to really bring the point home, while it is explained, after Namine is done healing Sora, they forget her too. Just saying. When everyone finally remembers him, what do? Tell him about Nobodies in Organization 13 and that he needs to handle it. Are you serious? He just woke up. Can he take a week to catch up on everything? Of course not, because Kairi gets kidnapped and Riku's MIA. Sora was out for a year. Life kept happening around him, and now there's an even bigger mess thrown on his shoulders with a whole new set of enemies. It's a lot. In fact, let's take a quick look at that scene.
Yes. Things haven't changed one bit.
Well, it's a good thing we're on the job then.
So, the worlds aren't at peace after all?
So, you are Sora. Now then, have you seen the king yet?
Yes, we did, Master, but we didn't get a chance to talk to him.
Yes, the king has been quite busy of late. Therefore, it would seem that the task of instructing you three falls upon my shoulders. You have a perilous journey ahead of you. You must be well prepared.
You mean, we have to go on another quest? I was looking forward to finding my friend Riku, so we could go back to the islands.
Yes, I know. However, everything in your journey, Sora, is connected. Whether you will find your way home to the islands, whether you will return alone or with your friend, and whether or not the islands will still be there. And the key that connects them all is you, Sora.
I'm the key?
Chosen wielder of the Keyblade, you are the key that will open the door to light.
Sora even tried to decline the quest, but was met with being told it's destiny for him to continue on this path. Granted, Yensid was correct. The various goals are connected, but mostly because Sora accepted the quest in the end. Had he continued to refuse, he could have gone to Traverse Town and trust Riku to save Kairi. But that's not the honorable choice, so it's not the one Sora is allowed to make. We've already seen what happens when he tries to set boundaries. First with Namine, as stated earlier, and now again with Yensid. Sora's not allowed to say no, because no one else will respect his wishes enough to realize he does indeed have a choice. For Sora, it's easier to go along with the quest while he's searching for his friends. It gives him additional resources, friends, and experience to make his true quest easier. The only problem is how often these goals that others have forced on him take him further away from Kairi and Riku. Anyway, this video is already pretty long, so we'll just skip ahead to 3 and rewind. Sora's told, once again, that everything he has learned thus far no longer matters. He's reduced to peon status and sent to train up once again, and to regain the power of waking, but not a description of what it is or how to do it, even though all Keyblade Masters know how to, so Riku would be able to help him. But Riku goes off with Mickey, another ally who could teach Sora the power of waking, to go find Aqua. A worthy cause, but they just abandoned Sora to relearn everything with only Donald and Goofy, not even Keyblade wielders, to assist him. They could have at least sent him off to train with Merlin, but no, he was told to let his heart be his guiding key and figure it out. After everything he's done for them, everything he's sacrificed, they still won't actually teach him and train him, but they did give that opportunity to Lee and Kairi. It seems to me that Sora, as the eternal healer, isn't seen so much as a warrior, and that really irks me. And after all of that, he relearns everything. No thanks to his friends and mentors, by the way. And we get to the Keyblade War. I've shown the scene in a couple of videos before, so I'm not going to show it again here. But when the Demon Tower comes and swoops everyone up, Sora just collapses. He has no strength left, and he attributes it to his friends, excluding Riku of course, being the sole source of his strength. However, I think it gets a bit deeper than that. Yes, they give him strength. Gods know that he says that enough times. But they are also his identity. His real quest revolves around Kairi and Riku. Then he's thrown into the role of the healer, never given a break. All he has done this entire series is either sleep or heal and rescue. He hasn't had any time to himself to figure out who he is, what his actual strengths and weaknesses are, and the type of person he wants to be. First, you take away the people who rely and depend on Sora to fix their problems. Then you remove the person who started this whole thing to begin with, Kairi. And Sora no longer knows where he fits in this world. There's no one to heal, no one to save, just him, Riku, and a swarm of Heartless that is truly overwhelming. And yet, with a couple of well-chosen words from Riku, Sora's back up and ready to move forward. All he needed was one person to show him the same love that he has been showing everyone else without the burden of fixing something. He just needed to move forward and see what happens. Riku didn't place any expectations on him. He just reminded him that he just needs to believe that everything will work out and see what happens. That's what Sora does, and it leads him right back to the entire support system. Who, by the way, don't seem to appreciate what had just happened and how easily Riku and Sora could have just given up. Anyway, the war happens, Kairi leads Sora through the hearts and all that, and everyone gets back on track. Once it's all over, he spends his final time, however long that was, with Kairi, the one and only person who actually gave back as much as she took. She was there to guide him every time he got too close to darkness. She was so determined to remember his name in Kingdom Hearts 2 because she's the only one of those affected by Namine's magic in this case who never fully forgot him. She's the only one who vocalized and offered to be his strength and allow him to just rest for once. And she's the only one who got to say goodbye when he went to unreality. That's no mistake. When the healer is done healing, everyone else shows their true colors, and you'd be surprised how many people actually stick around after that. Sora is lucky to have Kairi, and to a good extent Riku, to help keep him going, but he really needs to learn better self-care practices. The healer is a lonely and thankless role, and does not allow for imperfection, as shown with Sora. He's an excellent example of why we all need to be putting ourselves first. We're human, and as such we tend to be self-focused. It's unfortunate, but every single one of us is guilty of it. And I hope we can all be more patient with the people we love when they can't be everything we think we need them to be. Whether you're a healer, a warrior, a defender, or an NPC, we could all do a better job of learning how to care for ourselves first, set healthy boundaries, and enforce them ourselves. We all deserve peace and balance. So what do you think? What do you relate to with Sora's journey? Do you relate to the role of the healer? Tell me all about your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to do all of the things I'm supposed to ask you to do, also in the description box down below. Until next time.